The night was thick with an ominous stillness as Robert eased his car onto the desolate highway. The dim glow of the dashboard cast a faint light on his tired face, accentuating the worry lines that seemed to deepen with each passing mile. A solitary road stretched out before him, disappearing into the inky darkness. Robert had always found solace in long drives, a way to clear his mind and escape the demands of everyday life. However, tonight was different. A palpable tension hung in the air, and an inexplicable sense of unease settled in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The road seemed to wind endlessly through the dense forest on either side. Tall trees loomed like silent sentinels, their branches forming twisted figures in the shadows. As Robert drove deeper into the night, the headlights of his car cut through the darkness, revealing fleeting glimpses of the desolate landscape. The radio crackled with static, the signals weak and intermittent. Uneasy, Robert switched it off, enveloping himself in an eerie silence. The only sound was the rhythmic hum of the engine and the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. He glanced nervously at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see something, or someone, lurking in the darkness behind him. But there was nothing except the vast emptiness of the road he had just traversed. A shiver ran down his spine, and he accelerated, desperate to put distance between himself and the unsettling sensation. As the miles passed, a flickering light appeared in the distance, the only sign of civilization in this desolate stretch. A small roadside motel emerged from the shadows, its neon sign buzzing with a dim, erratic glow. Robert hesitated but decided to pull in, craving the comfort of human presence. The motel's parking lot was empty, save for a few flickering street lamps. Robert parked his car and entered the lobby, greeted by a weary-looking clerk behind the counter. He booked a room and asked if there was anything to be cautious about on the road ahead. The clerk's eyes widened ever so slightly, and he leaned in, his voice hushed. "Be careful, sir. This road has a history. They say those who drive it at night are never the same." Robert dismissed it as local superstition, but couldn't shake the feeling that the road held secrets he was about to uncover on this ominous night drive. Despite the clerk's unsettling morning, Robert retired to his room, determined to get some rest before resuming his journey. The motel room had a stale odor, and the dim light cast long, eerie shadows on the walls. As he lay in bed, sleep eluded him, and his mind was haunted by the clerk's cryptic words. Restless, Robert found himself drawn back to the road. The night air outside was thick and heavy, and the moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate landscape. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the distant howl of a lone wolf. With a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, Robert ventured back to his car, embarking on a journey that would unravel the mysteries of the night drive. The road seemed to stretch endlessly into the heart of the forest, the trees closing in on either side. Robert's grip tightened on the steering wheel as an inexplicable force seemed to guide him forward. As he drove deeper into the night, strange occurrences unfolded around him. Fleeting shadows in the periphery, whispers carried by the wind. An abandoned church emerged on the roadside, its weathered facade barely visible in the dim moonlight. Robert felt an irresistible pull, as if an unseen hand beckoned him inside. Hesitant but unable to resist, he entered the decaying building. The air within was thick with an otherworldly energy, and the silence was broken only by his echoing footsteps. In the dim light, Robert discovered faded paintings on the walls, depicting scenes of anguish and despair. The pews creaked beneath his weight as he moved toward the altar. At its center lay a tattered book, seemingly untouched by time. As he opened it, whispers filled the air, recounting tales of a tragic past, a haunting accident on this very road that claimed the lives of those who dared to traverse it at night. Chilled to the bone, Robert closed the book, the weight of the stories lingering in the air. The once silent church echoed with ethereal murmurs, and shadows danced on the walls. As he stepped outside, the forest seemed to come alive with unseen eyes watching his every move. The road called out to him once more, and Robert resumed his drive, now acutely aware of the restless spirits that inhabited this desolate stretch. The night had taken on a surreal quality, and the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred with each passing mile. Robert's car carried him deeper into the heart of the haunted road, the shadows closing in as the whispers grew louder. The air became charged with an eerie energy, and the moonlit forest seemed to pulse with a malevolent force. The road, once a mere passage, had become a gateway to the supernatural, and Robert was its unwitting traveler. The road twisted and turned, leading Robert into an unsettling dreamscape. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him, and the whispers evolved into anguished cries that echoed through the forest. Panic gnawed at him, but he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the haunted road. As he drove, the spectral visions intensified. Faces of the departed appeared at the edges of his vision, their hollow eyes pleading for release. Robert's heart raced, the car's headlights revealing the tortured souls that lingered in the shadows. The air itself seemed to vibrate with the echoes of past tragedies. In the distance, a spectral figure materialized on the road, a woman in a tattered white dress, her disheveled hair obscuring her face. She reached out to him, and the car slowed as if caught in an otherworldly grip. A chilling voice resonated in Robert's mind, recounting a tale of love and loss that bound the woman to this forsaken stretch of road. Haunted by the ghostly apparition, Robert felt a surge of empathy. He yearned to help, to free the tormented souls trapped in the night's embrace. The road, however, had other plans, and the forest closed in around him, distorting reality itself. Suddenly, the car stalled, leaving Robert stranded in the heart of the spectral domain. The air grew colder and shadows writhed as if alive. Whispers transformed into desperate pleas, imploring him to end the cycle of suffering that gripped the haunted road. Summoning his courage, Robert stepped out of the car, facing the ethereal presence that surrounded him. The woman in the white dress materialized once more, her eyes revealing a profound sadness. With a silent nod, she beckoned him forward, guiding him through the twisted labyrinth of memories that bound her to this place. As they reached the epicenter of the haunting, a long-forgotten accident site, Robert understood the gravity of the tragedy that had befallen these lost souls. A wrecked car lay on the roadside, a stark reminder of lives cut short. The spirits, trapped in a perpetual loop of despair, sought closure. In an act of cathartic release, Robert helped the spirits find peace. The anguished cries softened into gentle whispers, and the forest seemed to exhale, the malevolent energy dissipating. The woman in the white dress smiled, her form fading into the moonlit night. The road, once a conduit of torment, transformed into a quiet passage once more. The trees stood sentinel, but the oppressive stillness lifted. As Robert returned to his car, a sense of serenity settled over him. The haunted road had relinquished its grip, and he drove away, leaving the specters of the past behind. As dawn broke, the first rays of sunlight bathed the forest in a warm glow. The shadows retreated, and the haunted road faded into the rearview mirror. Robert's heart, once burdened with the weight of the supernatural, now carried the resilience of a man who had faced the unknown and emerged changed. The night drive, shrouded in mystery and dread, had unraveled the secrets of the haunted road. Robert, forever marked by the experience, continued his journey into the daylight, a survivor of a night that blurred the line between the living and the dead. It was a moonless night, and the air hung heavy with an eerie stillness as Sam climbed into his old pickup truck. The gravel crunched beneath the tires as he drove down the desolate country road, surrounded by the looming shadows of ancient trees that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. Sam was a seasoned traveler, but tonight was different. He had heard tales of a haunted stretch of road, known as Deadman's Hollow, where shadows danced in the moonlight, and the wind carried ghostly whispers. The bravado that usually accompanied his adventures was replaced by a subtle unease as he entered the sinister realm. As the truck rumbled along the narrow road, The trees closed in like skeletal fingers reaching for the heavens. Sam's grip tightened on the wheel, and beads of sweat formed on his forehead. He couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were watching his every move. The only source of light came from his dim headlights, casting long, ominous shadows that seemed to twist and contort in the darkness. The occasional rustling of leaves and distant hoots of owls added to the unsettling symphony that enveloped him. Suddenly, the engine sputtered, and the headlights flickered for a moment before plunging the surroundings into total darkness. Sam's heart skipped a beat, and he cursed under his breath as the truck coasted to a stop. In the silence that followed, a distant, mournful howl echoed through the night. Goosebumps crawled up Sam's arms as he fumbled for his flashlight and stepped out into the oppressive blackness. Little did he know that this night drive was about to take a sinister turn. As Sam popped the hood, he could feel a palpable tension in the air. The flashlight beam danced around the engine, revealing nothing out of the ordinary. He cursed again, realizing he was stranded in the heart of Deadman's Hollow. But then, a distant rustling made him turn. In the dim glow of the flashlight, Sam caught a glimpse of something moving among the trees. Shadows seemed to detach themselves, inching closer. He strained his ears against the silence, hoping it was just a trick of his imagination. But the rustling persisted, and the shadows crept ever nearer. Unease settled in the pit of Sam's stomach as he tried to shake off the feeling of being watched. He hurriedly slammed the hood shut and jumped back into the truck, heart pounding. The engine roared to life, and he sped down the winding road, eager to escape the oppressive grip of Deadman's Hollow. Yet, the unsettling sensation clung to him like a persistent fog. The shadows along the road seemed to move with a life of their own, whispering secrets that echoed in Sam's mind. He tried to shake off the paranoia, convincing himself it was just fatigue playing tricks on his senses. As he approached a dilapidated bridge, the truck's headlights flickered again. This time, the darkness revealed a figure standing at the edge of the road, a silhouette shrouded in shadows. Sam slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching on the gravel. The figure turned slowly, revealing a face hidden in darkness. A voice, soft and haunting, drifted through the night air. "Sam, you shouldn't have come here." Frozen in terror, Sam could only watch as the figure melted back into the darkness. The truck's headlights steadied, and he sped away from the haunting encounter, his mind racing with questions and fear. Little did Sam know, Deadman's Hollow held secrets that would unravel with each passing mile, turning his routine night drive into a chilling descent into the unknown. The road twisted and turned, mirroring the maze of Sam's escalating fear. He couldn't shake the image of that haunting figure, the whispered warning echoing in his mind like a ghostly premonition. The once familiar night drive had transformed into a journey through the shadows of his deepest fears. As Sam pressed on, a spectral fog began to weave its way across the road, obscuring the path ahead. The truck's headlights barely penetrated the thick mist, casting an otherworldly glow that heightened the sense of unreality. Shadows danced in the periphery of Sam's vision, playing tricks on his frayed nerves. The radio crackled to life, emitting a dissonant melody that sent shivers down his spine. The haunting tunes seemed to synchronize with the rhythmic beating of his heart, creating an unsettling symphony that underscored the malevolent atmosphere. Sam fumbled to turn it off, desperate to silence the disconcerting soundtrack. The road, now seemingly endless, stretched into the void. Sam's mind swirled with questions, his imagination conjuring horrors lurking just beyond the reach of his headlights. Every shadow became a potential specter, and every rustle in the darkness a whispered threat. In the midst of this surreal nightmare, the truck's engine faltered once more, sputtering as if succumbing to the sinister forces that enveloped Deadman's Hollow. Panic set in, and Sam's hands trembled as he attempted to restart the vehicle. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the eerie chorus of unseen creatures in the night. Just as despair threatened to consume him, the engine roared back to life. Sam exhaled a shaky breath, but the relief was short-lived. The fog, now thicker than ever, seemed to take on a life of its own, swirling and pulsating like a malevolent entity. Shadows coalesced into indistinct shapes that seemed to whisper his name. The flashlight flickered, casting erratic beams that revealed fleeting glimpses of unsettling scenes. Ghostly figures standing at the roadside, eyes gleaming with an ethereal light, and twisted faces contorted in silent screams. Sam's pulse quickened, and beads of sweat formed on his brow as the road ahead twisted into a nightmarish carnival of apparitions. As the truck rumbled on, Sam felt the very fabric of reality unraveling around him. The road became an inky abyss, the boundaries between the living and the spectral blurring with each passing mile. He questioned his sanity, wondering if the terrors he witnessed were hallucinations born from the oppressive atmosphere of Deadman's Hollow. The encounter with the mysterious figure replayed in his mind, the voice haunting him like a malevolent echo. The words held a warning, a plea for him to turn back. But Sam, driven by a mixture of curiosity and fear, pressed on through the nightmare, determined to unravel the mysteries that clung to the shadows. The truck's headlights flickered one final time before succumbing to the consuming darkness. Sam was plunged into blackness, surrounded by an abyss that seemed to swallow him whole. Panic set in as he groped for the flashlight, his trembling hands revealing glimpses of the surreal world that unfolded before him. The ghostly figures gathered, their ethereal forms twisting and contorting in the darkness. They'd whispered in unison, a chorus of lost souls, recounting tales of tragedy and despair. Sam's mind teetered on the edge of madness as he grappled with the spectral visions that enveloped him. Just when it seemed like the shadows would consume him entirely, a feeble light flickered in the distance. The beam cut through the darkness like a lifeline, guiding Sam towards an old, dilapidated mansion that stood at the end of the road. Its windows glowed with an otherworldly luminescence, drawing him in like a moth to a flame. Summoning the last shreds of his courage, Sam approached the mansion. The air grew heavy with an ominous presence as he crossed the threshold, each creak of the floorboards echoing through the desolate halls. The mansion seemed frozen in time, a repository of forgotten memories and unspeakable horrors.